This review is probably going to be pretty short because there's really nothing that happened inside of this movie outside of what I was expecting. This movie is pretty much a paint-by-numbers version of the cartoon Lion King movie, just not as good. Now, visual effects are great. Visual effects are just mind-blowing. Like, seriously, the quality of the visual effects are just crazy. The movie looked really pretty. It was a very, very pleasing movie to the eyes. But there was a lot of things lacking from this movie that are in the cartoon, including emotion. I personally did not feel any emotion during this movie. There was never a moment that I laughed. There was never a moment that I cried. There was never a moment where I felt like super intense or anything. I was void of emotion while watching this movie, and that is a huge problem because that is kind of one of the most important things about this movie. I don't understand. I don't see, like, there's a lot of people that were saying like this movie made them cry and stuff. I don't understand it. I don't see how this movie can make anyone cry. It felt like almost like a very beautiful shell of the original Lion King movie. Like I said, the story is pretty much all there. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same as the cartoon, but it lacked a lot of the emotion that the original had, a lot of the charisma. It felt like this really sucked the charisma out of what made the original one so great. So the thing that was the best thing about this movie was Pumbaa and Timon. Like, they were the greatest thing about this movie. They were definitely the highlight of this movie. They definitely stole the scene every time they were on screen, and that was mainly because they were pretty much the only charismatic characters that were in this movie. The only ones that actually showed any sort of emotion, because all of these lions, all of the hyenas, all of them, their faces never really changed at all. They didn't show any emotion on their faces. Their faces were just, I mean, the only emotion came from the actual voices of the actors, not from the creatures that they were portraying. So that was definitely a problem with this movie. If they had put a little bit more emotion into the faces of these animals, I think it would have been at least a little bit better than it was. But it was so lacking. It was so painstakingly obvious that they just were trying to make them seem almost too much like real animals. And it was definitely the weakness of the movie for me. Music was fine. I really liked the first 2 minutes of this movie just because all of my nostalgia kicked in when it started. I was like, man, this is so cool. The music's here. It looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love this. And then after the first 2 minutes or so, I was just kind of like, okay, that's kind of when the magic wore off. And I was like, okay, I can see exactly why people are saying what they're saying about this movie. Yeah. Like I said, visual effects were great, but it was lacking a lot of emotion in this movie, which was a real shame and a real bummer. So, there really is no need to see this one. There really isn't. I would say just go watch the cartoon. There's really no point in watching this one. There really isn't, because they don't change anything in the story, really. It's all, if it's been a long time since I've seen the animated, but from what I remember, this one's exactly the same as the animated. Like, I'm not even joking you. It's exactly the same as the animated. Just maybe a little bit toned down on the musical parts and not as much emotion or charisma. So, yeah, that's an issue for me personally. Don't see the point in seeing this movie. Like, seriously, I don't. Just go watch the animated and you'll be fine. So, that's my review for The Lion King. I don't know. It was fine, I guess. It was just kind of like, this movie just felt like there was no point in making it. So, yeah. I'm going to give this movie, I'm just going to give it 2.5 stars. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, just kind of a pointless movie to be made, to be completely honest. Very lacking in emotion. I was bored a lot during this movie, so, yeah. I don't know. Don't go watch this movie, please. Just go watch the animated. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed my review, and I will talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.
My heart still